to the Analyst desk for our final game of the day, Fnatic versus the Mad Lions. What a way to close things out. It could just as well be a match of the week, and we are going to give it its due time. Now, of course, a rematch from the spring playoffs. Mad is looking for revenge. You always want to be taking down a Fnatic, and Fnatic is still undefeated. But let's start by talking about the Mad Lions, and just to kind of reset the expectations, out of the gates, swinging in spring. Fantastic performance from the rookies. Now we're looking for that next step. What did we see in week one?
So, Sjokz, last split, we talked a lot about draft kings, right? And every week, we seem to have a new draft king. Well, right now, Mad Lions are dominating the field when it comes to drafting. They're bending the meta, they're doing new things, and it's really exciting to watch. And something that Ender and I have been talking at length about in particular is Varus. Varus globally has been picked 4 times in the major regions and has been banned 98 times. He has 100% presence. All 4 of those picks here in Europe. 3 of them were from the Mad Lions, leaving them open. They have been devising strategies specifically to counter Varus, and it's been forcing teams to have to try and deal with these creative answers that they so far have only G2 have been able to answer.
Yeah, and the thing that's so interesting about it is that they go for these like super hard, heavy engage things, just like repeat kill the Varus. Like, yeah. I think everyone will remember the SK game where Crownshot died like 20 times in the bot lane. Like, the man just could not play League of Legends because there's a Wukong Senna down in the bot lane that continue to jump onto him. And it's such a different look for this Mad Lions team to any other squad in the league, because they are doing the complete opposite of what all these other teams are doing. Other teams are going for comps built around their DPSers of mid laners.
Yeah, let's
ADCs,
look at some of them, Ender.
With tanks and all this, whereas Mad Lions just want to dive on you.
Yeah, exactly, because we do have, like, we got some graphics that illustrate some of these comps, and you can see, like, as you were talking about, Wukong, Hylissang, Kalista, Blitzcrank. This comp didn't work out well against G2, but it's one of those illustrations where it dives extremely hard. Jump over to the next comp. We have a very similar thing where we saw this multiple times from Mad Lions, where the whole goal was just to dive onto the backline and eliminate that immobile AD carry in the form of the Varus.
And the thing that becomes fun is that you start finding like different twists on it, because it's not like they're picking the same champions every time. In the game 1, the goal was, hey, we have a Wukong, get in there. In game 2, it's still coming from the top lane, but now it's a Hecarim paired up with the Yuumi in the bottom lane, which works so well together here. And also out of the jungle, you know, Shadow's finding insane kicks in this game as well. So it's really cool to see. And then the pivot now, where in game 1, they weren't willing to flex the Wukong, they got destroyed. They say, hey, we can just put that down in the bottom lane, and now again we have the dive to shut down the team fight.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the creativity that we're seeing, because it creates these interesting trends where the whole world is saying Varus is OP and has to be taken off the board. Mad Lions like, nah, we're cool, you can have it. And then teams have to think, okay, they're going to give us Varus. You either have to counter what they've prepared, or you just don't pick Varus at all. And it just changes the whole dynamic. And I think that leads into a bigger thing of how Europe has shown their creativity in the past. Casters was something that we were only playing when no one else in the world was last split. We've constantly done this, and I think Mad Lions right now are the, what's the word? The pioneers in bending the meta right now.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, because when we talk about teams trying to take down the Fanatics and the G2s of this world, we always talk about, well, you have to go toe-to-toe, of course, with the players. You have to have the macro game, you have to have the game plan. How much of an edge does it give Mad Lions that they have such a level of creativity going into these drafts to beat teams like Fnatic specifically?
Well, I think in week 1, it was a huge edge, because frankly, it didn't seem like other teams were expecting that this was going to be their style coming in. In week 2, now these teams have had some time to try and adjust and come up with counterplays of their own. But this is where Mad Lions get to flex a little bit as well, because it's not like they've just been practicing this one way to play the game. I'm sure they have other tools in their kit. They only just showed the one style last week, so they could come in today with a completely different look, and now Fnatic are going to have no idea what to expect.
Look at the little lion, though. Wow, fantastic. We got to look in at what I guess is the huddle, and they're going to sit down and they have the game plan all prepared. Let's talk about their opponents, Fnatic. Now, Fnatic, we've said, started strong, but I want to dispel a bit of a myth. It was actually the 6th time that they went 3-0 in the first weeks of the split, so we kind of overblow the whole, they always start badly. But, you know, talking about taking it from strength to strength, from spring to summer, it is wonderful that they were able to get those 3 wins on the board.
I love how we're just ignoring the Misfits game right here. Let's show the next 2 games. It's a super strong week 1 for Fnatic.
No, I mean, well, so the thing about the Fnatic versus Misfits game was it highlighted to me Fnatic's experience. Because while I think that, especially in game 1, Nemesis and Hylissang underperformed, they were able to take advantage of small mistakes that Misfits repeatedly made over and over again and punish them for it. And we saw that throughout the weekend where, especially when you look at XL, Fnatic was behind XL in the early game, yet the way they came back, really smart macro decisions and just responding to where pressure was on the map. And Fnatic is just clearly showcasing to me that they've taken what happened at the end of last split to heart, and they've gone back to focusing on what makes them a good team, in that not only are they strong mechanically across the board, but they're also insanely smart. And I think that's what makes them such a scary team right now, because they are looking very clean.
Yeah, and I'll also say it seems like a lot of the way that teams other than Mad Lions are playing the game, the meta we're starting to see evolve, fits them wonderfully, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to focus comps around, you know, Rekkles in the bot lane. Nemesis, his champion pool, is like fitting this perfectly. Like, I'd love to see stuff like the Cassiopeia right now. The Twisted Fate ended up scaling into doing a lot of damage later on into the game, but also in the top lane, as we see more Wukong and Volibear, these, you know, more interesting picks, I think it's time for Bwipo to continue to showcase some of those pocket picks and try to win out through top.
Well, as you can see there, we are very close to Champion Select. We'll also be covering that Champion Select right here on the desk. Now, when you talk about top lane, I want to talk a bit about it more in depth, you know. We have Bwipo here, who has been a strongholder and has been one of those creative forces in Fnatic for a long time now. How do you feel about him in this specific matchup?
Well, I think naturally we kind of give him the advantage against Orome.
Yep.
But what we heard from Mad Lions was the last split, they couldn't invest their resources into him because they had to teach many of their rookies how to play at the level of an LEC team. Now that they have confidence that the baseline level is significantly higher for Mad, they're putting more resources into Orome. And I think
Tons,
we're starting
actually.
to see...
Last week,
we're
tons.
starting to see some of that pay off. I thought that his Hecarim was a solid performance. His Wukong didn't pay off. He struggled against the likes of Wonder. So, sure, can we put our full confidence in Orome? Probably not yet, but it's nice to see that Mad are taking this different approach, and it's important to be flexible when you're playing against a team like Fnatic who are confident they can play through any role.
And the thing is, like, the Mad Lions have said they want to let Orome try to carry games, and I'm all for that. I don't feel like I saw them set him up for success in week 1, right? Whether or not it was the blind pick Wukong in game 1, or I thought, like, even Shadow going for the level 2 gank when he was playing Hecarim actually kind of messed up the laning phase for him, whereas his lane was, like, perma-pushed away, and he actually fell down a lot in CS. So I thought his week 1 performance was pretty good overall, but it wasn't because Mad Lions were all of a sudden saying, like, here, take the wheel, you're going to pop off, and that makes me excited for him in week 2.
Yeah, they were trying to, but maybe it didn't work out as such. There's so many interesting things going into this draft. I mean, just to touch on bot as well. Last week, remember, Rekkles pulled out the Syndra. That all of a sudden mixes everything up that could go in the bot lane for Fnatic. She's usually banned out anyway, but it might open that doubt of, well, what else is he going to pick in that bot lane?
Well, I'm really hoping that one day we get to see Kalista for Rekkles. They always ban it on blue side. Yeah, no, he was playing Karma on stream today, and I was like, oh no, he's trying really hard to bring these back, isn't he? But Kalista is a big pick that I've often wondered how much priority Fnatic will put on it, but they keep seeming to ban it on the blue side, so I'm curious as to what the priority will be. Graves is the other interesting champion. Like, we haven't seen any Graves today yet, and I'm not sure what the ban presence was on it either, but I'm curious as to what pros' opinions on that champion are now, moving into 10-12, and then finally Volibear is the other big pick I'm thinking of.
That's such a Bwipo champion.
Yeah, Bwipo is definitely playing it. I saw him playing it on Rekkles' stream today. We know that he's definitely going to lock that in. So I'm excited to see what they lock in today.
No Kalista.
Again, on the blue side, like it's so weird.
So I actually don't think so. I think it is a little weird because, like, what do you want to put Hylissang with? Do you want to put him with the Kalista? Right? So when he makes a bad choice, you know, you can pull him on out of there. But I feel like Rekkles, like, he wants to be on, like, the pure team fight ADCs. It doesn't have to just be about dominating within the laning phase. You also brought up the Graves pick, which, again, I feel like is very strong, but it's sort of slipped through untouched so far today. But in this game, we're actually looking at the Lee Sin between these two junglers.
Right,
Selfmade, Shadow, two of our biggest Lee Sin players inside the league. Both of these guys make the champion look absolutely nuts. Even in the late game, we're like, there's no way they can find an insane kick. They still make it happen. So that's probably going to be picked in the first or second rotation.
Yep, the Volibear is off the table, sadly. We saw it wreak havoc before in Gen X's hands, rather. No Yuumi and no Syndra as predicted, so Rekkles is not going to get his hands on that.
Yeah, and with Syndra being taken off the board, it is a little surprising that Fnatic would choose to ban that. the question is, will Mad Lions ban the Varus? Again, they haven't banned it yet. The split expectations are that they will not. And there we are. They're not going to ban it. So expectations are Fnatic first pick the Varus, and Mad Lions have to come up with another strategy to be able to deal with it.
So my theory is that Fnatic don't go for it. And they actually go for the Aphelios, because we were sort of talking about this backstage where Mad Lions love to take these comps that like hard jump the Varus and make his life absolutely miserable. And that works for a couple reasons. A, Varus, you know, pretty vulnerable to getting jumped on, but also Varus wants to take fights slow. He doesn't want to get engaged on right away because then he can't apply the poke.
Sure.
Aphelios can a lot of the times absorb those big engagements. So this is a really nice pivot, I think, for Fnatic.
And what do we make of this? The Lee Sin was on the table, but we see a Graves coming out.
I mean, I think the way that Selfmade has actually been playing Lee Sin has been fairly farm-oriented, and knowing that Mad Lions want to play like 4 melee champions into you, this is the time for Graves to shine. When he can farm through the early game, when he can stack up, you know, his armor and resistances within team fights and sort of welcome you to come into him, Graves is going to be so hard to punish.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the blind pick Orianna. This suggests to me that Mad are very confident that Orianna can just be blind picked, or they believe that Nemesis doesn't have good counters to it. But I think he could just go with Zia here, and he'd be pretty happy in that matchup.
Yeah.
We know that Nemesis likes to play it, so I am surprised. But there we see the return of the Senna, which Mad Lions have drafted out before, and now you're wondering, what are they actually going to pair up with the bot lane? But again, we have to draw attention to it. Varus still not locked in for either side. It's like a game of chicken right now, so who's actually going to go for it?
Oh man, we'll talk about the Soraka if it happens, but I think the reason for the Orianna so early is because Mad Lions don't want to reveal the components that sell their comp when they go for the hard engage.
No.
This Soraka, very likely in the hands of Rekkles
Probably,
here.
yeah.
All right. How likely?
I'm going to give it like an 80% chance that it's actually in the hands of Rekkles.
Honestly, like Rekkles is I'm going to give it 100%.
So what does it get paired with? What does it get paired with?
Normally he puts it with other, I think I saw him pair it with either a Tahm Kench or something like a Karma. So like
Or Nautilus.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest.
But hear me out. You put the silence down, the dredge line starts coming, you can't flash away.
That's true,
The ult
yeah.
start, you're just like, wait a second, what's going on? The chain CC could be deadly, but this is just telling me Fnatic are going for team fights, they're going for scrappy team fights, and again, they are welcoming Mad Lions to take a heavy engaged team comp, because if you try to jump into a Soraka and a Graves, you're just gonna get beaten.
Once again, the Wukong coming out. They played it twice last week, once in the top lane and once in the bot lane, so that flexibility is there for Mad.
For sure. And the thing about this lane is I actually think if the Wukong goes bot, that's a much easier matchup than compared to an AD carry that you would typically play against, which is going to give a lot of resources into Kaiser's back pocket. You can then save the counter pick for either Orome. Well, I mean, you might have to, because you're going to lock in a jungler for Mad Lions, which means that Fnatic could look to ban away junglers right now. That's what I think makes a lot of sense. And we also see the Azir ban actually come out from Mad Lions.
Yeah, so Mad Lions are going to ban mid laners, and because they went Orianna so early, they can just lock in Shadow's jungler right out of here and still maintain the mystery around this Wukong pick, even though we are expecting it to go bottom lane, seeing like the Soraka Nautilus as the pretty obvious 2v2 answer down here.
I think what's really interesting is this is going to be the first time in Europe we see the Graves carry. I think we have seen Graves play before, but when you're running Soraka, the comp becomes very much about Graves. And something that we've talked at length about is how one of his biggest struggles is being able to close the gap and actually stay in range of you. And I think a champion like Orianna inherently makes that a little bit difficult, but I think now the rest of Mad Lions' composition should be to try and keep Graves at arm's length as much as possible, because if he's not dishing damage, then right now Fnatic's comp doesn't have enough of it.
Yeah, and that's where you say like having ranged options are going to be very good. As for what Fnatic finish out this draft with, like I'm again for Nemesis looking at picks like a Corki in the mid lane, Cassiopeia potentially. I mean, Victor saw some buffs this patch, could be an option against the Orianna here, because when you have Soraka with you, you want like the DPS mages in the mid lane. Like that's going to be your best option. You want the extended fights. You want to be able to, once she gets Ardent Sensor, be able to buff up your auto attacks as well, both on the Graves and some sort of option in the mid lane too. And then Bwipo possibly back on tank duty here, but again, I want to see, you know, if Mad Lions reveal where this Wukong is going to be going, if he can have a more fun counter pick.
So, you know, for Fnatic, they do need a big damage source, right? If you think that the Graves is going to be able to dish out a lot, that's surely not going to be enough. So is that what we're looking at for these last two picks?
Yeah, I mean, that's where Nemesis is gonna carry here. Like, he knows what he's up against. I actually think maybe the enemy comp is a little bit mobile for the Victor and his W to have a lot of value here. The Lee Sin and the Wukong, both the melees, they can get out of it pretty easily.
I was really worried. I don't think Twisted Fate is great, though.
Look, Twisted Fate and Graves, like, they've got the lore synergy going.
That's true.
Great, but I think that from a laning perspective, Orianna does really well into a TF. I think that TF can out-roam the Orianna quite easily, thanks to the ultimate. She can't really follow as fluidly, but I mean, like, with a Mordekaiser there, okay.
So here's the thing with Fnatic. They've got multiple globals now to work with. And Mordekaiser, you know, can never get punished in a side lane post level 6 because he's just going to ult a target here. This is a really interesting combination now where it gives Fnatic the ability both to play within team fights, even though they haven't hard gone down that route, but also to play through side lanes as well, play a 4-1, play a 1-3-1, depending on how they want to set this up, because Twisted Fate could be a problem when he's going for the on-hit build, and that Mordekaiser too.
We'll get a bit more time to talk about these drafts because loading onto the Rift, both teams have reported comms issues and League officials are investigating and working on a fix. While they do, we're going to preview the action, and it does give us a little bit more time to talk about these interesting composition once again. Now, when you talked before about how Mad Lions were innovating and bending the meta, is that reflected as much in this draft, and how do you like it?
Well, I feel like we're seeing similarities to what we saw last week. What I do think is interesting is the fact that they drafted a Renekton, because what we talked about a lot in this draft was short range, right? When playing against the Graves, it's very valuable to use compositions that are great at disengaging, keeping you at arm's length, basically just making it awkward for you to close the gap. And I feel like champions like Lee Sin, champions like Renekton, champions like Wukong don't really do that. They want to close the gap on you, which inherently makes it easier for Graves. And because of how well he stacks armor and how well he naturally does into champions like this, and how well he scales, I am a little concerned for Mad with the direction that they've taken, because to me it seems like they've looked a little too much at the laning phase specifically rather than look at how the overall comp works. And I think when getting into later team fights, things will actually get a lot harder for Mad Lions.
Yeah, this seems like it may very well like carry like a very similar like curve over like the game as the Misfits Fnatic game, right? Where
yes.
Like, Fnatic don't have super great early game options. You know, a lot of these lanes, they've sort of drafted themselves into a hole. They're going to be losing ones.
Yeah.
But again, there is that tipping point, you know? We say for sure on 6 items is where Fnatic can take over, but probably around 4 items is going to be really strong for these guys, where, quite frankly, your burst damage is not going to be able to cut through a Soraka ult when she has Redemption on top of that. Like, your Orianna Wukong combo is great, but eventually you're not going to have the damage.
Do you think they also give solo lane farm to the Graves too? You just like, you play almost a fasting Soraka and you funnel both lane and farm into
So eventually that is what is going to happen. I'm like quite positive. Like because you figure like Mordekaiser and Twisted Fate are going to be the ones, you know, in the mid game to split off in towards sides.
Probably,
Soraka, let's just not have her farm. Let's have the Graves pick up jungle camps and that mid lane CS. And then as soon like you're going to be 2-3 levels over the Lee Sin if you're min-maxing properly right there. And then if you're higher level than a Renekton or a Wukong trying to jump on you, keep in mind Wukong going to be under-leveled because he's playing in a 2v2 lane.
Sure,
now all of a sudden you have the base stats, you have the armor ramping up, you're not going to get one shot.
And I think that something you have to keep track of in this game is how often Fnatic look to attack the side lanes. And I did already mention it, but with running double global in the form of Soraka and Twisted Fate, your ability to attack sides is very easy. On top of that, because we assume that Soraka is going to take more of a backseat later on, Nautilus is just going to roam. It's going to be like Hylissang in his comfort zone, right? Where he just gets those Moby boots or Swiftness boots, and he's just like, wherever TF goes, I'm going to be there with him. And you're going to be seeing these 3-man attacks on the side lanes to try and shut down this Renekton. Orianna can't go on a side lane, really. You want to keep her in mid. And so I feel like that Mad Lions have put a lot of emphasis on getting ahead in the early laning phase. And if they don't, then I think that it's going to be a lot harder for them to win out on these team fights.
Yeah, and Mad Lions do have areas to attack, right? I think everyone's going to look at like Lee Sin plus Renekton. It's like you can hit top lane. You know, if you are a critic of Hylissang's, you're going to say he's on the Nautilus. He might be playing a little aggressive in the bottom lane. Well, hey, maybe Lee Sin can visit down there, especially post level 6. That's where we saw the Wukong Senna really take off, where it can just jump on a champion like the Varus or a Soraka.
This is so interesting, but I'm going to have to cut you off because we are ready to get into that game. Fnatic versus the Mad Lions.
And Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic versus Mad Lions, the matchup you've been waiting all day for. And you heard it from the analyst desk, but we have one simple question for everyone at home. Who won the draft? You can vote in chat, FNC or MAD, depending on if you think Fnatic or Mad Lions won the draft. Two very unique compositions that are appearing in front of us. And while you vote, Frost is going to tell us all about what she thinks.
And just echoing the sentiment from the analyst that Ender and Vedius so beautifully set up for us, it's this idea that Fnatic have put themselves in a hole in terms of their 1v1, 2v2 specific lane matchups to try to win at a further point on the map. Whereas Mad Lions, I think, can really have that tipping point. You know, if something breaks in the lane phase, if you don't get a really powerful Mordekaiser, if you don't get a really powerful Graves, Fnatic's composition loses a ton of steam. So my eyes are on Shadow in particular about where he's gonna break this, because he has a lot of tools to work with. He's got a Renekton, he has a Wukong in the bottom lane, hell, even the Orianna. So where does he attack and can Fnatic survive?
And Fnatic fans or true draft believers here and things like the Nemesis Twisted Fate, as well as the Rekkles Soraka pick that we've heard a lot. But I like that attention is being put towards Shadow because Shadow Lee Sin is so legendary, something that we always want to talk about anytime we see him play it. And just generally, the jungle matchup feels like just the pivotal point.
Shadow is so good that he makes Lee Sin relevant. Like, that's the highest compliment that I can pay to any jungle right now. When Shadow locks in Lee Sin, same thing for Selfmade, Analyst just also pointed that out. I'm like, this is acceptable. This is okay. I will allow this one to pass.
Now, as you said, a lot of places for him to attack. I think the bottom lane matchup is going to be interesting to a lot of people, but sad to say that I don't think it's going to be the biggest place of action here in the first few levels, mostly just Senna and Soraka trading harass.
And we've talked about it in the past, but if you're just catching up with us on the LEC, Rekkles has been playing Soraka a lot on his stream. This was not a surprise pick that came out of nowhere for the ADC. I believe LS has also talked about it quite extensively on his stream. The thing is that when you're against a Senna and you have a Soraka there, obviously you're going to be able to match a lot of the sustain and then make big trades like this.
And one of the things that I think is the most obnoxious about Soraka, most people will instantly jump on the healing, but I think that Equinox, that E ability that's the silence, it's instantaneous, that will deny all mobility, is the most obnoxious part of her kit to deal with in a lane like this.
And of course, peeking into Rekkles when he played the Soraka just a few days ago, he was maxing Q, so maxing the Star Call. We'll keep our eyes to see on what ability he does end up maxing this, but I expect it to be the same. Q into W max into E last.
E, of course, you just want the silence. Not as worried about the relative power, and we'll see when he shifts over to a very supportive build path, how much early AP he decides to itemize. As another hook manages to land. My God, there's a reason this champion has been banned, and we're seeing it live in front of us as Kaiser has to run for the hills.
And the thing is you wouldn't necessarily expect that. Like, that's Hilly hitting the correct hooks, and as a big wave is stacking, Nemesis is actually making a roam down here. So there was also the potential for a dive, but the damage has been done. Fnatic got the first blood, and Fnatic are now also forcing Kaiser off this wave to give them a plate.
And obviously a very clean play, but observers, if we're not going to check out the replay on full screen, if you could pip that one in, I need to see that miracle hook one more time, because that, to me, did not look like it should have connected.
What can I tell you? I'm the only person who can miss a Nautilus Q.
I mean, wow. It's just, all right, throw yourself under the bus. I'm not gonna question it.
I know what my limitations are.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, we've both been there. We're highly mediocre League of Legends players. One thing I do want to point out, though, and I think that when people look back at this draft, they'll talk about Bwipo picking Mordekaiser like, oh, it could potentially counter the Wukong if they don't flex it. But part of the reason I love it is it's so clear that Mad mid to late game want this wombo combo, and Mordalt is so good at denying those wombo combos. But here's that hook one more time. How does he thread the needle here?
I think he just throws it.
Nope. Yep, that's no threading. That's, ooh.
Okay. I'm going to say Senna, maybe her hips are a little bit big.
Look, we've all been in quarantine, you know?
We call it the quarantine 15.
The quarantine 15. A little bit of a chunkier hitbox than many people expected, but good on Hylissang. He's recognizing that. Good news for Mad is that for now they're able to shove this wave out. They're able to keep the pressure up, and bad news for Orome is that normally expect Renekton to come out on top with some of these bigger advantages here in the early laning phase, but pre any itemization, Mord very clearly doing quite well.
Yeah, just slapping him down. Now, of course, it's going to get a little bit better on Renekton's backs, and again, there is still that... Actually, you know what? No, I'll give it to him. There's still that big power and that potential of the 2v2 top. I was looking at Lee Sin, Renekton, as I'll hold it, versus Mord Graves.
Snare will connect. Kaiser now going to look for the follow-up. Of course, still gets rooted here as they back off. Froskurinn, and here comes my biggest concern. Talk about jungle top. This is not Renekton, Elise. There's no split damage type. They are both AD. That's a Bramble Vest. If he goes Bramble Vest into Seekers, into Tabby, he's immune to damage from literally every single person on the team except for Orianna.
Yeah, so basically with that big shopkeeper buy where he just kind of slammed it on the table, that whole conversation we were having.
Again?
What? He don't miss!
I would pause for that. I'm not a professional player, but I would pause. I'd be like, all right, guys. Do we have an equivalent of the VAC ban? Where is Riot Vanguard?
Okay.
How do we get it for League of Legends?
Hilly had a bad game, but since that Blitzcrank and now on this Nautilus,
He's a savant! He can't miss! It takes a literal flash! Oh. Bless Kaiser and Carzzy, they're doing their best. Now Shadow, of course, shadowing his bottom lane to stop any potential dive from coming out. And this is obviously a very high-stakes, very serious match of the week, but I can't help but lose my mind on these hooks. Selfmade, though, potentially in trouble here if the takes the time to collapse.
Good
Instant
plans.
cap to Jack QSS. Humanoid now trying to pull back, and it's just going to make another slippery sticking for the corrupting pop, but it's not enough. They will not finish the kill, and the Q is blocked by the minion to keep Nemesis safe.
that was actually so clean by every single member involved. That was actually like really cool for both Humanoid, the instantaneous cleanse, the fact that I think Selfmade got the bounce off the tower. Was that?
Yeah.
And then they simultaneously flashed out of the shot. That was cool.
Yeah, that was absolutely excellent. Oh, good body block there. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage to that Wukong clone, but definitely not the target they wanted to hit. So a little bit of an advantage in this matchup is that Kaiser can get the cheeky block on those.
Of course, the big issue that we need to talk about following that mid lane gank is the fact that Orianna doesn't have cleanse and doesn't have flash. And guess what? That same maneuver can get pulled again.
Oh, and here we go. Another potential problem is Bwipo is now flashing in, trying to get a Romain's flash as well, but Romain now wants to turn it, but Selfmade is now on the way up, and there is no armor here, only MR on the top side, so a bit of a potentially questionable flash. Definitely wanted to try to trade there with Orome, but Orome taking his finger off the trigger, playing it slow, and coming out on top.
Now, of course, because they did show top side while we go into this replay.
Observers confirm it was 1 HP. I just have to say that before we say anything else. We gotta keep that in mind as we watch this play one more time.
Okay, so the instantaneous cleanse on the stun, he bounces it off the tower, and then the two flashes out of the shockwave, and a single HP to limp away.
Actually 1 HP. That's the first time we've seen that in maybe ever, but definitely so long. People say it all the time in solo queue, you're usually wrong. It's like 14 or 12 or 9. That's actually 1 HP. I mean, but to be fair, Humanoid earned it after all those highly questionable hooks connecting in the bot lane from Hylissang. He earned himself a bit of luck.
Selfmade has frankly just been a massive breath of fresh air coming over into this Fnatic roster. I think at the very beginning we were having conversations about like who won out, TL with Broxa or Fnatic with Selfmade. Fnatic with Selfmade definitely won out here. And that's not just to talk about, you know, Broxa versus Selfmade, but just how clean this man has been. You go back to his Gragas game against Excel when he flashes the Scatter the Weak and just dunks on special in the mid lane. Like, Selfmade, he has the confidence, he's making big confidence plays, and he's executing on it. Like, money where his mouth is at.
Absolutely. And now, Fnatic swapping up to the top side, looking to secure this Rift Herald, and I'm ready to see what the Graves looks like when there's a few more items under his belt. And the Nemesis Selfmade synergy continues to pay off, although that may turn as Nemesis is not going to be able to flash out of this one, but they're not able to connect the snare either. So casual sidestep from Nemesis means he's okay. Shadow and Humanoid can look to contest, but they do not have the shockwave as they've already used it mid. A bit tragic, to be honest.
Yeah, and interesting that Shadow didn't even try to fish in for the steal right there. Of course, good job from Fnatic to pull it out. But like you were saying, I think the big thing was losing that big cooldown in the mid lane. So maybe some miscoordination from Mad Lions there to save some of these vital cooldowns. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world because they have good wave clear and pretty much everything but bot lane.
Yeah. Of course, Warrior coming out for Graves already. And Nemesis moving down to the bottom side of the map as Rekkles has taken up his home in the mid lane. Of course, Soraka passive, the old ambulance passive, will make it very easy for him to roam between these lanes if given the opportunity.
I expect that we're still going to be focusing on where Selfmade's going to go, and he's going to cover a lot of the action, and Hilly and Rekkles are just kind of giving it away right now as they walk over several wards, and Selfmade comes around this corner. That's what you want. You want the scuttle.
Pouring that farm into Selfmade, making sure he secures those jungle camps for now, and it looks like I'm trying to force something here on the bottom side, but the vision has just now died for the Mad Lions. They're not going to pull the trigger on a play quite yet. Instead, they'll just allow Selfmade to continue farming up as Fnatic roam around the map and pick up these waves.
Yeah, just That's the key thing, picking up the waves. You know, swapping for a minute because that's just how the resets happened and the waves were crashing into the towers. Now having the Fleecin, the Twisted Fate back into the mid lane with more access to his destiny, more access to the map. So looking at the other side, at Mad Lions, you know, you've got everything that you want. You have the Shockwave backup, you know, Shadow has access to Dragon Rage. I want to see them try to punish this flashless Nemesis, but they haven't found the window to be coordinated enough on it yet. And now with the wave under tower, I think Nemesis might get it back up before Shadow and Humanoid have a chance to strike. And clock is ticking. Like, we needed Mad Lions to kind of break this lane phase before this composition just becomes a nightmare from Fnatic.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got Selfmade's flash on the way up as well, potentially allow for some more aggressive plays. Hylissang is coming up too, and the other timer that we have to keep our eyes on is the Rift Herald. Where is it going to use? Where is it going to go? For now, it looks like Selfmade's setting his sights potentially on the top side of the map. Could go mid as well, but with the top lane fully pushed in, you have to wonder if that's the optimal choice to bust out this Herald. Has been spotted on a ward. Definitely Nemesis is going to follow potentially as well to the top side of the map. So alarm bells better be ringing for our boy Orome on that top side of the map, because there are 3 people, as far as he knows, coming to kill him. But I like this fake coming out from Fnatic.
I don't think it's so much as a fake as reading the map state really well from Fnatic. They see that everyone is missing. They assume that they probably walked over a ward, and because it took so long to set up where the wave was building up, where a mid lane was starting to move, Fnatic, like, you know, Mad Lions have a big enough opportunity to answer us here. It's not worth kind of throwing to get a proper Herald set up here. So instead, they probably recognize it's warded. Dragon's going to be spawning soon. Find the reset and set up for the immediate objective.
It's a good look, and the back's not going to cost Bwipo anything either. His teleport is a little bit off. Romain, of course, with the TP advantage. Mordekaiser has the potential to cancel it if he is in the appropriate position, but see how hard both teams want to commit for this next objective. 37 seconds till the Infernal Drake will spawn.
I do want to put credit to Mad Lions wards. They've actually had 2 really nice wards. The one that spotted out Selfmade, of course, when he was going top lane, but also that ward that just died in the bottom lane from them, which has given Mad Lions a lot of information about where Fnatic are and avoided some key traps.
And it looks like, sadly, it's going to be the suboptimal use of the Rift Herald. We'll just use it for the 2 plates, not able to fully maximize the potential of that objective, as Mad Lions have been giving it the respect that it deserves.
I actually think that's pretty important because they wanted that to go into Mordekaiser's pocket, you know, when they were setting up for that top side play. And if Mordekaiser gets ahead of the clock, like, that's where Fnatic's composition becomes a huge issue, where you're fighting with all these global ults and a Mordekaiser ultimate on top of it. So even though it feels like Mad Lions didn't necessarily do anything in terms of action happening on your screen, they were able to dissuade Fnatic from putting that top and forcing them to move it into the bot lane.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, a good accolade that we can give them. Praise them for that, I think, limiting the potential effectiveness. Sadly for Mad Lions, Fnatic just continue to pull ahead here. You can see Humanoid leading in gold, but then it's Humanoid followed by 4 back-to-back members of Fnatic. So Fnatic are doing a very good job of distributing their gold, of power farming this Graves, and so far Shadow, 0 opportunities to use the strength of the early game Lee Sin to make a bigger play.
And of course, shout out to Hilly still winning the supportal combat down there with about a 100 gold lead over Carzzy.
Oh, hold that thought there, Froskurinn. We might see a steal. Shadow trying to get it. He will be able to kick out. Now the stun coming in, though. Graves coming right back over the wall. They're going to try to lock him down, but it's a 2-man shockwave. Carzzy now on the way in. Nemesis should be ready to flash this one, but here comes Bwipo. He's called Orianna into the death realm. He has 0 MR. He does not want to push that fight any further.
Cleanly done from Shadow. Snags that dragon. Humanoid doing an excellent job. Hits him with the shield, then throws down the ball. Nice shockwave to make sure that there's no more chase. His jungler gets out. They now have 2 dragons to their name, and it looks like it's going to be Cloud Soul.
And that's going to be a big deal as we move later, because normally 1-to-1 on Drakes, it's going to be years before Soul is on the table. But for Mad Lions, the team that is falling behind in gold, it's going to be big to have that as an additional win condition as we get late in the game.
And also, Cloud Dragon, for their composition, like, I already really like Cloud Dragon. I think it's an absolute nightmare for Fnatic on that comp.
Definitely. Well, now we see a Romain moving in, trying to get some vision. Sadly, it's spotted out, so Fnatic will know exactly where to avoid. And Bwipo walking down because he sees an opportunity to get a fight kicked off. Renekton, before he finishes that Black Cleaver, really is going to struggle. Bwipo's stacking so much armor.
I know it's a serious game, Drakos, but what is that Renekton skin?
That's the...
He looks like a radioactive,
crystal?
like, that's the Godzilla skin. Like, he fell into a vat of something unhealthy, and that's what it turned him into.
It's rock candy. He covered himself in rock candy. That's what it looks like.
Pop rocks?
Pop rocks. The pop rock Renekton.
Well, I hope he pops off.
Hey, not my favorite color palette. We'll ignore that one, Frost. It's fine.
But we'll workshop it.
All right. let's give you guys a TLDR as we have a bit of a slow time here in the game. Let's talk a little bit about Soraka bot lane. Now, obviously, we already see the Athenes coming out, and then he's going to build looks like second, your absolute favorite item in the game, Froskurinn.
Watching you. Okay,
I'm trying to get a graphic up. That's what people can't see. You weren't supposed to. I tried to set you up because I was like, go graphic.
I'm supposed to then jump into this behind the scene. I'm supposed to jump into the Ardent Sensor. We call this a handoff, and it's really beautiful.
Yes.
But Drakos is absolutely face planting into our.
It was slow to load. Berlin internet.
Pounded on the screen.
Damn. Oh no. All right. One more time.
As soon as you get this up, Humanoid's about to get caught, Drakos.
All right. We're gonna hold that thought.
You have a job to do.
Humanoid now caught, locked up, and potentially knocked down. He will not be able to make it to that blast cone. He pulls 2 members of Fnatic into him. It is not the shockwave that he wanted. No more chances for Humanoid. This time he will go down.
Something about rolling a natural 20 because we haven't beat that horse enough. No, really good pick from Fnatic to chase down Humanoid. They now are really putting the gas pedal down since their initial completed items, like you were talking about, that Athenes. This Graves is the true carry, and with little Soraka and Nautilus behind him, you can see just big confidence plays again from Selfmade.
And speaking of Soraka, guess who got the graphic to work? This is the skill order for anyone who wants to try abusing this incredibly obnoxious champion in solo queue. That's right.
Can't CS.
EW.
Constantly dying in lane phase. Don't know how to team fight because orb walking's difficult. Have I got the champion for you?
No problem. You can't carry. Heal someone else so they can carry. That's solo queue 101. Supports. Woo!
I hope that graphic was worth it.
It was difficult. Thank you, Marcus, from our stats team for suggesting that I run it. But yeah, me versus technology, Vedius versus technology. The LEC team has many skills, but pushing buttons is not one of them. It may, however, be one of them for Humanoid, who's about to smack Hylissang in the face. Almost could have got the double there. Gets the dissonance. The Power Rangers finishes as he walks away from that one. But now Orome on the hunt, moving in. Now Bwipo has a lot of armor, but I don't think he has enough to survive this one. Will walk it off, though. Shadow not able to get in close range enough.
And when the Graves is not there, Humanoid's like, not so brave now, are you? Walking down the 2v1 and finds the kill, and also burns the stopwatch on Hilly, which is quite significant because we're gonna have another big team fight happening in 1 minute over this Cloud Drake. We'll see if that matters.
It is kind of a question. It's a race. If he finishes the Gargoyle Stone Plate, it will be inconsequential, but if he doesn't, that cooldown's gonna matter a lot.
And then also the missing flash on the Soraka at this point, you know. Obviously, Soraka, quite low mobility on the Unicorn. Yeah, she can zip around when she's got her ambulance passive happening, but if that backline dive, which Mad Lions have a lot of it, Lee Sin's reach, you got the zone control of the Shockwave, you have the ball delivery service of the Wukong, as well as the ultimate from Senna. If you can just delete that Soraka, Graves isn't going to be that scary at this point.
And he's got full lethality now, which is going to feel pretty good at this stage of the game before anyone itemizes any resistances. Of course, the potential Death's Dance second for Renekton will change a lot of that potential damage coming out. But we're now seeing the redemption come in from Rekkles second instead of the Athenes. I think it's a good nod to how well Humanoid has been executing on this Orianna, that he's getting something to mitigate that AoE.
I think the nail in the coffin for Mad Lions, like the clock that they're racing against is the Death's Dance. Like Death's Dance, grit, passive stack Graves with the Soraka. I just think that might be lights out. So I think they need to hit this next team fight really big to slow that one down, keep themselves ahead of the clock, and keep some of that kill pressure up.
And I like now that they're going to use their advantage in the mid lane, the pressure that they built up to try to force this objective. If they secure this one unscathed, it'll set them up for a sole point before we're able to see Graves finish all that itemization. But now the fight's bringing out Selfmade in the midst of everyone, and Kaiser going to find the double knockup. Silence will not come out quite yet. Selfmade and Rekkles fighting together, but meanwhile on the back line, members of Fnatic are dying left and right. A clean flash out for Fnatic. Bwipo is isolated Orome so he cannot TP into the fight. Trying to keep the 1v1 going as the Natural Tooth procs come out, but the Crocodile will walk away, and at the end of the day, it's just a very messy exchange as Hylissang goes down.
I mean, frankly, they didn't really need Orome to join that fight. Maybe it would have helped because obviously the Renekton's going to meet a lot more in a big 5v5 than a Mordekaiser will. Bwipo always wants that 1v1, wants to constantly pressure this tower, but you know, Mad Lions still got what they came for. They're 3 dragons looking for their soul. We talked about how good Cloud's going to be for their compositions. They're in a great place right now to kind of defy what the Analyst was talking about with the 2 different drafts. They're right in their window.
Absolutely, and as Kaiser starts to finish more itemization, that Wukong's going to be a bigger and bigger threat. You saw that he survived that fight, able to leap in, find the double knockup, buy a bit more time, use the clone to make his way out, and deny a lot of the power of this Graves-Soraka duo. And
something that I really like about Orianna, because before that fight, you were talking about, the lethality has come out for Selfmade. Like, he can do a lot of upfront burst damage. But when you have a Senna and an Orianna, I don't think you can just upfront kill someone because you're trying to get through the shield as well as the healing.
Redemption now forced. And I agree, they're hard targets to lock down, and additionally we're going to see Wukong's passive giving him a ton of armor in these fights, which makes that lethality that much less effective. And similarly, Death Stance doesn't build out of a ton of armor, but will make Renekton that much tankier as well. I like it in the fact that it lets you kill the carries, but you have to get on top of them first, and it has not been the case quite yet, as Humanoid is playing absolutely fearlessly in these exchanges.
It's actually a great Orianna performance.
Yeah, I think he can see. When Twisted Fate is in the area with Gold Card, the movement speed he gets from Dissonance on top of the phase rush just means he gets to dance around any potential CC.
It's also just really nice to see people play Orianna aggressive because she has so many tools on her kit to do so. But when we think about Orianna, because she's been around for so long, we kind of think of her as like the coward champion, if you will. Like, oh, I'm getting smashed in this matchup. You better play Orianna. But all the greatest Orianna players in the world have always been those big battle ball Orianna players that are constantly swinging the ball around in front of them, using those auto attacks and the passive on it. And Humanoid's looking clean this game. Looked clean against G2 when they pulled off that cool mechanical highlight. Shout out to Shakraz and our team for doing that one.
Yeah, excellent highlight. Fantastic play there. The synergy between Humanoid and Shadow on the Orianna Lee Sin duo. You can see why they continue to lock it in. I think this is the third time now that they've played this jungle mid combo. So clearly something that Mad Lions like to prioritize, and it's paying off so far so good. Mad pushing in for a bit of vision here on the bottom side. Making good use of the Curse of the Black Mist there. Carzzy and Humanoid are so fast on this Cloud Rift, they can just move in uncontested.
So there's actually really cool lane assignments. Obviously pairing Carzzy with Humanoid instead of Carzzy with Wukong, they're allowing Kaiser to get solo EXP and solo gold as he has his Trinity Force, but continuing to stack valuable gold and resources on this Wukong, while keeping Humanoid safe to contest the wave clear to delay this.
Shadow now been knocked up, Rekkles now on the way, and the silence is coming out. He's pulled back into the silence, and now he's locked down by the snare. Fnatic now just need to pull back. The TP already now coming out. Kaiser rushing in, he wants to turn this one. Playing it nice and slow on the side of Fnatic. They will back off with that single pick. Good catch from Hilly again.
And that's the thing, it was an inch. Mad Lions messed up for a split second where they were slightly out of position.
Selfmade! You cannot dance around that if he gets into melee range.
And suddenly now the game is going to crack wide open because the mid tower will fall, and you can see now Fnatic immediately press on the gas and turn towards the Baron. Like, this game was so close for so long, and Fnatic might rip it open now.
And here's the thing, they obliterate Baron. They have Nashor's Tooth, Mordekaiser, a Graves, a Twisted Fate, and a Soraka to keep everyone healthy. If Mad want to contest this, they're going to be contesting a full health Fnatic outside of Rekkles. They have to be very careful. And Fnatic just get it. We were in a neck-and-neck game, Froskurinn, where it was the sole point for Mad versus the 2 to 3K gold advantage for Fnatic, and now it's been broken wide open.
And think about how close it was. Kaiser was in his recall. He had teleport. He was looking for the flank, and that split-second difference where Fnatic find the pick, Selfmade then doubles down on it, finds someone out of position in the jungle, and then it rotates into a Baron. Like, this is it. Mad Lions are a great team. I am so excited about them. They are rising stars in the LEC, but this is the difference between being the rising star, being possibly the third best team, and being Fnatic.
And you see it again. The coordination on the CC, the layering there, fantastic. Pulling it back so he does get snared by the Equinox, and then Selfmade. That's just knowing your damage output and full confidence there. Humanoid was not prepared for that one. Flash of his, of course, now up and available. Maybe this is the team fight that Matt had been looking for, but here's the thing. You need to keep your eye on Bwipo's Death Realm. Who does he take out of this fight? Can Mad win the ensuing 4v4? Bwipo taking a big chunk before the fight starts, and that's going to be massive. Bwipo now needs to flash out. Death Realm can come in. He has isolated Kaiser, so he can't use the second stack of the ult on the rest of the team. But if it disappears, he may still be able to get the knockup. Kaiser, in the meantime, Soul is going to be picked up by the side of Mad Lions, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Humanoid still pulling back, still retreating. The gold card will connect. Rekkles moving forward. That's the silent. Is it going to be enough? The phase rush is now procced. The flash forward. Humanoid will respond with a flash of his own. The extra shield now coming in is clutch. It's just in time from Carzzy. They can look to turn. Nemesis still alive, still wants to get this done. This is the power of Soraka. Nemesis refuses to die. He has no mana, but it does not matter. The rest of the team now moving back to the mid lane. The fight will break off for now, but Shadow potentially smells blood in the water. Orome moving forward. The fight will stop in its tracks.
But blow for blow, Mad Lions will not go quietly into the night. Yes, Fnatic managed to get the Baron. Yes, they can be in control to crack the game wide open, but now it's the sole point for Mad Lions, looking for that Elder next. And just look at how close that was. How evenly these players are being matched in kind of the 1v1 fights that are happening within these team fights. The sidesteps, the cooldown management.
And I gotta say, just excellent use of cooldowns there from Humanoid. It may always feel a little bit odd when you're focusing everything on the Mordekaiser, but he has no magic resistance. You are his kryptonite at this stage of the game, and if Board is just allowed to focus on fighting solely AD threats, he's going to bully through your team. So to force the Death Realm after people have been knocked up, to knock him so incredibly low to find that kill, Humanoid has been playing phenomenally this game.
Okay, so my eyes this entire fight were on Humanoid and Nemesis. Now, obviously, there's a lot more that happens here, but this Humanoid and Nemesis were like our two mid laners that came in. I know that we're about like the 80 carries and the bot laners now, but look at the sidesteps, look at how long these fights prolong, look at how close it comes down to. And Carzzy with the Senna ultimate, like, he wasn't gonna die even if he didn't get the shield. But the communication, the team coordination, like, I don't know. I sound really excited and I'm really passionate because I love seeing a team like Mad Lions crop up. I did not want to just have a two-team league over and over again. I wanted to see another team rise up and get scrappy like G2 and Fnatic. I love how Mad Lions play, and they were able to go tit for tat there with Fnatic.
And you see it in the damage, 4.5k to 5.1, such a long, extended team fight. And I wonder what that fight looks like if they turn on Rekkles when they get the opportunity instead of focusing their damage on Nemesis, if that's something they can adapt in fights, or if it potentially wasn't an option. But what's very clear is that while this gold lead looks like a lot, a well-executed fight is infinitely more important.
It's old generation versus new generation, and maybe that's unfair because Fnatic have a lot of new members themselves with Selfmade and Nemesis, but like, it was always between Humanoid and Nemesis. Who was going to be the next big mid laner that came in? And Nemesis snagged that away from Humanoid, and Humanoid is planting his feet now on the Orianna and trying to give a career best performance on this champion. Carzzy is saying, I am chasing top 3 ADC in the league, and I am chasing a guy like Rekkles. I am just as hungry. So it's so cool to see Fnatic almost look into a mirror at Mad Lions of, one day, these guys will be them. I just hope it's soon. I hope it's in time for Worlds.
And these are the games that I live for. These games where it's close, the game where it's tight, where a game where it comes all down to execution, and it's not just giving up objectives. It's trading blow for blow across the map. Yes, Fnatic had the lead early on, and they have the lead now, but they do not have any Drakes. And in 2 minutes and 40 seconds, Mad Lions will force a fight that, if they win, will end the game in their favor without a doubt. That said, it's not getting easier. Double lethality items for the Graves. Soraka is only getting stronger. Ardent Sensor is soon on the way, and Fnatic may just be unkillable.
I think that if you're Mad Lions, you just try to hold the line. When it comes to an Elder fight, that's what you're looking for. Like you said, you need to find that Soraka, kill her initially so she can't just keep Nemesis and Selfmade alive to continuously output this damage. So as we start getting closer there, eyes on Mad Lions. They need to clear out their jungle, get safety lanes to place vision, control the vision, and hopefully set up a trap or somehow find that deep flank to kill the Soraka. And then eyes on Rekkles. He has his flash, he has his heal. He'll hopefully have it up for the next fight.
Eyes on Bwipo as well as he pulls out the Death Realm. He needs to be careful on this one. The rest of the team is now collapsing, but Nemesis continues to push on the top side. It looks like Bwipo will just give up his life in this exchange. Caught overextending. Definitely not what Fnatic needed in this instance. What can they get in return?
I just don't think it really means anything, though, because you look at the rest of the map. Yeah, Bwipo dies, and that's never going to be a good look, but Nemesis is hard forcing and denying gold against this tower. Maybe he takes a couple shots at it because he has access to Destiny. He thinks he can get out quickly. You know, there was pressure points to cover Bwipo's mistake. So yeah, he dies, but the map win is still for Fnatic.
It's 12 seconds now till the Baron. Bwipo not going to be up for 28. TP is available, but no flash. Kaiser stepping forward. Nemesis presses S on the auto attack. Now Nemesis trying to TP out. Does he have enough time?
Oh.
Yes! Orome just needed to be a little bit quicker there. Did not have it, and excellent escape coming in from Nemesis.
I mean, I don't know. That was that was quite close, Drakos. Orome catches him there, and all the hard work that Fnatic had done is undone because then Mad Lions have a clear pass to the Baron. This game is still on a knife's edge, and now we're looking at
pull back. Selfmade gonna make his way out the kick. Rekkles taking out the fight, but he's still able to flash to safety. Rest of the fight continuing to move forward. Shadow knocked up. That's big damage coming in. Selfmade trying to finish the kill, but that's the shield. Hylissang going in. Bwipo off to the backside. Orome moving in, but it might be too little. Too late. Redemption gonna heal them up. It resets the stage for these teams to fight on. The minion wave is here. They can look to take the tier 2 as Mad are split, but instead, gonna fight for the mid lane priority. But they're gonna back off.
Mad have to make the right call right now. Elder is gonna be spawning in 30 seconds, and yeah, they have to defend the tower, but Fnatic will have the inside track to cut back towards that Drake. Shadow has reset. He's full health. No flash this time around on Lee Sin, so he needs to be so much craftier if he's gonna find these insects.
That was the miracle kick that they wanted, but it did not result in the miracle team fight that they needed, and now we're at a knife's edge. The only advantage Mad have left is they're set up for an Elder Dragon that can win them the game. Fnatic have to contest this one. They know it. They're not even moving towards that Baron. They know that if they have to make this trade, it will be a good one. But they're playing now in the fog of war, in the darkness. Mad will have to push into enemy territory if they want to find this one.
And Shadow is still missing health. That's how quickly he ran off of the spawn. He's finally regened it, but like Mad Lions know, pressure is on. This is going to be it. This will be the team fight that will decide the game.
Pull back, collateral damage coming out from Selfmade to take him to safety. Bwipo isolating Shadow. Nemesis off to the backside. Disengage options are now limited. He's waiting for him to come out of the death room. Shadow retreats now to his team.
So well done.
Notice there that he uses the ward hop, it looks like, to make it to safety because he can't see it in the Death Realm.
Massive cooldown, though, that was used on Shadow. Yeah, you trade 1-for-1 of the Dragon Rage, but you would have liked to get that Orianna or that Wukong.
Nemesis playing with fire here as he kills the ward. Does have his flash up and available. Snare coming down, everyone knows the objective is the focus, but they burn everything in the pit to try to get Nemesis, and he flashes over the wall. He's baited the fight, and Selfmade is now on a rampage in the backside. Selfmade still untouched, still full health. Bwipo alive as well. They're chunking through. Nemesis on the backside trying to buy space for the rest of the team, but Humanoid lives, and the Orianna can take over this fight. The command dissonance. Kaiser on the way in, and Fnatic are falling as Mad will take the Elder.
I don't think Nemesis baited the team fight. I actually think he just made the wrong call. He got stuck in the pit. He then teleports behind, and immediately Mad Lions perfect in communication. Nemesis came up behind them, Mad Lions turned around and blew him up.
So clean, and this time there is no miracle steal for Rekkles. There is no opportunity for redemption. Fnatic make a mistake, and they are punished for it.
Woohoo! We got ourselves a game, Drakos. Okay, we're gonna watch Nemesis here. Yes, he gets into the pit, he denies the control ward, and the Elder, I think, only taps him twice and then turns back into the Mad members. There we go, here's the 2 taps. Now the flash is forced here, where he goes over the wall. He then teleports and he appears behind Mad Lions. Great comms from Mad Lions to instantly turn onto Nemesis, and he doesn't have flash. So as soon as that chunk hits him and then Shadow connects, he's dead. And that's one of 2 damage dealers because you're running a Soraka ADC, gone and deleted.
Here's the struggle that we wondered about. What would the Fnatic damage profile look like as we get later into the game? And Mordekaiser, some sustained damage, not a ton of burst. You've also got some sustained damage coming in from Graves, but you can see with a Sterak's Gauge, with a Death Dance, it's hard for Graves to cut through that Renekton instantly, and he buys enough time for Humanoid to take down Nemesis. And now we have Mad just going straight for the Baron. The confidence here is astounding.
And now that Baron play that Fnatic got all those minutes ago, where we like, you know, this is Fnatic, you make a single mistake, they rip a game away from you. Mad Lions pulled it back, and they pulled it back with super crisp team fighting and great 1v1 individual outperformances.
And now the gold lead that Fnatic had, the advantage that they had to their name has been absolutely deleted. The Elder Dragon buff, the Baron as well, the Cloud Soul. Fnatic, I said it was gonna take a miracle for Mad in the team fight, but they found it. They executed so flawlessly, and now eyes are on Fnatic to try to find a way back into this one.
Origin Excel was worth this.
Yeah, you're right, it was.
I'm sorry,
It was up for debate, but you're right. 33 minutes, an absolute banger. This is why I love the LEC, why I do not want to cast anywhere else. It's for moments like this.
It also then puts pressure in a weird way on Origin G2 tomorrow for our match of the week. Because if you don't show up...
Fnatic OG, yeah, Fnatic OG.
Oh, Fnatic OG, because if you don't show up like this...
Yeah. People were asking, they wanted the OG Mad Lions best of 5 to see who the real 3rd best team is. Time to find out. Mad Lions like, not happy with 3rd. They're like, we want 2nd as a minimum. Pullback connects there. They're pushing for the siege. Hylissang waiting in a brush, trying to find the flank. Will hook himself out to safety. And you can see Selfmade on the back line. He's just going to retreat here and pull away. G2 wave clear isn't the most reliable here without Graves around.
I mean, even with Graves, he's still relatively short range. This is one of the issues with Fnatic's composition is they lack a lot of these tools to safely wave clear, which means they're relying on a fight.
Hylissang stepping very far forward. The pullback from Bwipo will not connect. He's trying to clear the wave. In the meantime, Hylissang pulled back, though. They may have found him out. Rekkles does not have enough healing, but they will clear the creep wave. They give up Hylissang's life to buy a bit more time. Mad still advantage. Let's see if they push in for more.
I think Mad just need to be patient. Unfortunately, they didn't play in any of their other lanes. They just grouped up as 5, so it's not like they can immediately rotate out to another lane. I think it's going to be this inhib and then reset, so unless Fnatic massively just run into Mad here, they should live to fight another day.
Shadow cannot find it. Was looking for the slip forward, but now he's going to get pulled back. He's got the GA, he's going to buy a bit more time, and Selfmade is down. This could just be the end of the game right here. Orome continuing to push forward. Shadow is still up. Remember, Nemesis is going to get taken out here. Rekkles, the last man standing. There's not enough Mad Lions. I cannot believe it. Froskurinn You said it yourself. For the longest time, LEC has been the two-horse race. Everyone thought OG would be the ones to contest at the top. But here today, Mad Lions remind us why they were the ones to take down G2, why they were the ones to find that upside, and why their name is the one that has to be respected.
We called it in the middle of the cast. We said that's the difference between the middle of the pack and Fnatic and Mad Lions. Tear it down and say no. You remember the name and you respect us.
Elation on the faces of the teams, but I'm more excited than they are. They're keeping it calm, cool, and collected. I'm not gonna lie to you, but an incredible victory for Mad Lions. And I gotta say, when that lane phase started and I saw all that armor coming in for Bwipo and he was trading blow for blow with the Renekton, I didn't think Romain was gonna do a lot, but every single one of those team fights, Fnatic could not kill that Renekton fast enough, and that meant Humanoid just got to make an Orianna montage. He's throwing out autos left and right. That's the most Orianna passive we've seen utilized in years.
I also do want to give huge shout out to the individual members. Shadow, again, Hylissang is always relevant when Shadow is playing it. He got critical cooldowns at critical team fights that set himself up for success. Humanoid also on point for this Orianna. Yeah, he was caught by the Wolf camp, which initially led to the Baron camp, but outside of that, like you said, maximizing the damage on that Orianna passive. I think Humanoid had a career-defining game.
And I think when we look at it, the champions that have terrified everyone, that have abandoned every game, Varus, Rekkles, and Soraka, Mad Lions aren't scared of anybody. They're like, give perks Syndra, we'll go next.
But it's so important because if one team bucks the trend and changes things, I was talking to Vedius about this, it trickles down. It makes the whole league better, because if we can figure out the counter to Varus where the rest of the world is terrified, and Mad Lions through scrims, through stage games, feed this idea into Europe, it makes the region stronger. We are no longer a region of two teams, even though it's just a best of one. I have eyes, the audience has eyes. We know we have a third team in the conversation, and it's the Mad Lions. Incredible
day for the Mad Lions. Key player of the game, of course, at LEC on Twitter, Shadow, Humanoid, Kaiser. Shout out to the team as a whole, but of course there's only going to be 3 in this poll. It's actually so hard to choose, if I'm completely honest. Just vote with your heart. Whoever, vote with your eyes. I think it is. You saw who won the game.
Vote with your eyes.
Judge who you think was the true carry for this one. But Froskurinn, this, I'm still reeling. Look, people are going to say that, like, oh, of course, Mad Lions, blah, blah, blah. But, like, it is an incredible day for Mad Lions. And we're going to get more insight in a few minutes as Laure checks in with Mac, and Carzzy is going to join us on the post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere. We got more Mad Lions in store for you at home.
welcome back for the last interview of the day with Mac, coach of Mad Lions. Thank you, Mac, for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good.
I mean, it was a good game from you guys. What did you think about your players' performance today against Fnatic?
I think they played it really well. I think they played it really cleanly. I think it's very often hard to play against Twisted Fate because he can be kind of everywhere all the time, and it's something that Fnatic are particularly good at as a team. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way we performed. About
that Twisted Fate, what did you think about Fnatic's composition here? Because outside of this on-hit Twisted Fate, I feel like the only AD damage, real AD damage, was coming from Graves. So what's your take on their composition today against you?
Yeah, we felt like they lacked a bit of damage, and we felt like we outscaled them really hard. So we also had a lot of early game prio, as long as we were able to actually kind of stifle the TF, which I think we did fairly well in the early game, making sure that he didn't get loads of successful roams off. And as long as that happens, then we were pretty confident that we would win later on. Yeah, and about your players' performance per se, who would you say was the best one today of the Mad Lions? Today? Yeah. Oof, I think it's hard. I mean, I think based on compositions, it's like the entire late game basically comes down to, can Graves carry versus can Orianna carry, right? Because Orianna is our main damage threat. And I think Marek, Humanoid that is, played it really, really well for most of the game. Again, it's not easy to play against TF on the mid lane, who has such easy gank setup and get away. I mean, he got away like really, really, really cutting it finally on one occasion. But aside from that, I think he played it super well. So I would say him. I'd say Kaiser also plays side lane really alarmingly well for a support player. So he definitely deserves a shout out as well. And the community thinks so too, because Humanoid is the player of the game here. And I feel like Humanoid from last year and Humanoid from this year are completely different players. He feels more comfortable. Do you think so too? Do you see the evolution? Yeah, I think he's definitely changing a lot as a player and as a person, but really coming into his own in this environment. We have a really nice supportive team atmosphere, and I think that's helping him to develop a lot. And I think that he also is pushing himself to keep challenging himself. That's something that we had a big conversation about as a team after Spring Split, was making sure that we're always pushing and pushing and pushing and carrying on trying to adapt and innovate, because we felt that we got kind of out innovated towards the end of last split by G2 and Fnatic. So that's one of our big goals right now. So you were mentioning the end of last split, which is something that I'm interested in, because you had a stellar performance in spring. So what can we expect from Mad Lions in summer? I don't like to talk too much about expectations. I think it puts a lot of pressure on us. But, I mean, we're just going to take it day by day, right? And make sure that we try to win every game as hard as we can. Realistically, I mean, everyone is aware that Worlds is at the end of the split, right? So Worlds is obviously the goal. All of us are really, really itching to go to China. I've never been myself. Peter has never been to Worlds in China. Shadow obviously also wants to go a lot. Like, everyone is super motivated to go to China. So that's step one. And then we'll see it about afterwards. Yeah, and we have 4 slots for Europe this year. So you guys can have a shot, and we'll see if you guys make it by the end of the splits. Thank you very much, Mac, for the interview, and congrats again on the performance today. Cheers. And we're going to take a short break, and to wrap up this day, we'll see Carzzy and Sjokz in PGL in a few minutes. Stay tuned, guys.